That is, you can start with the Vedic conception of the universe.
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Bhanachari.
That is, you can start with the Vedic conception of the universe.
Jamunatira Vanajari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Radha Madhava ki, Shri Radha Giridhari ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parivrajika Jaja. Ashudara Sisi Mad is divine grace of Vaicharana Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parivrajika Jaja. Ashudara Sisi Mad is divine grace. Srila Bhakti Sarada Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai. Grantara srimadbhagavatam ki jai. Samveda Bhakti ki jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Sisi Guru and Sri Gauranga. Mamishmarai Krishna Stai Villeshmati Bhakti Varanta Swami Niti Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravani Prajalini Nivashesha Shunyavari Pasyati Adeshatarane. Hare Krishna. So we're going to finish the chapter today. That way we can start a new chapter tomorrow. Yes, for everything. There we go. So my ears perked up when I heard you were a disciple of Niranjana Maharaj. He and I were brahmacharis together in Boston. He was my big brother and Sankirtan leader. Used to throw me out of the van. But we... Well, three's a charm. Three's a charm, they say. But very wonderful. Got to see him for about 10 minutes this year in Mayapur. We caught each other as we're both leaving, but very nice. So, Dharmasetu Das. So when you see him, you could say, you had the misfortune of meeting me. You tell him you had the misfortune of meeting me in SanDiego, okay? You tell him that. And, so we'll start with text 31. Do you have devices? Because I think our scribe is not scribing, right? So, yeah. It's like Twilight Zone. It says 10 and then there's an A. What is it? What am I supposed to start or end? What is this? The battery's gone, or? I think I've been set up by Balaram today for something. Okay. Well, I have 7:55 and there's also a clock there. Okay. There's a book in the closet. There's a book or two. Why don't you get them? Give Mataji a book. There should be some books there. But, okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, we'll start with text 31 and go all the way through to the end of the chapter. There's two short purports. We'll put something together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskijam Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirya Chirabhupariki Jai. Text 31, third canto. Tanvirashit Punyatamam Kshetram Trailokya Vishrutam Namna Siddhapadam Yatra Sasam Siddhim Upeyushi Tadvirasit Tadvirasit Punyatamam Kshetram Trailokya Vishrutam Namna Siddha Padam Yatra Sasam Siddhim Upeyushi Dadvirasit Punyatamam Kshetram Trailokya Vishrutam Namna Siddha Padam Yatra Sasam Siddhim Upeyushi. Let's chant. Tadvirasit Punyatamam Kshetram Trailokya Vishrutam Namna Siddha Padam Yatra Sasam Siddhim Upeyushi. Tadvirasit Punyatamam kshetram trailoka vishrutam namna siddha padam yatra sasam siddhim upeyushi tadvirasid punyatamam kshetram trailoka vishrutam namnam siddha padam yatra sasam siddhim upeyushi. Anyone else? Tadvirasit punatamam kshetram trailoka vishrutam namna siddhim padam yatra sasam siddhim upeyushi. No? Yes, no? Okay, would you like to chant? Tadvirasit punyatamam kshetram trailoka vishrutam namna siddha padam yatra sasam siddhim upeyushi. Synonyms. Tat, that. Vira, O brave Vidura. Sit, was. Punya tamam, most sacred. Kshetram, place. Trilokya, in the three worlds. Vishrutam, known. Namna, by the name. Siddhapadam, Siddhapad. Yatra, where. Sa, she. Devahuti, some siddhim, perfection. Upeyushi, achieved. Translation. The place where Devahuti achieved her perfection, my dear Vidura, is understood to be a most sacred spot. It is known all over the three worlds as Siddhapada. Next verse. Tasyas tad yoga vidhuta marcham abut sadit. Shotrasam pravara somya siddhida siddhasevita. My dear Vidura, the material elements of her body have melted into water and are now a flowing river, which is the most sacred of all rivers. Anyone who bathes in that river also attains perfection, and therefore all persons who desire perfection go bathe there. Okay. One thing about holy places, I just heard something interesting from Harisari Prabhu, that Gandhi didn't believe in holy places. He didn't think there was any difference between Vrindavan or Delhi or any. He thought his belief was there was nothing special about holy places. It was all make-believe. And his ashes were put into a river maybe where he grew up or started his movement or something like that, because he had no belief that there was anything special about holy dhams. They could grant no special benediction to anyone. So that's an exact opposite of what we just read in these two verses. So, a little something about, put that in your Gandhi folder. Isn't that interesting? He was supposed to be an authority on Bhagavad Gita, and so. Oh, really? Because I just heard that. So, because the Harisari said they visited Prabhupada, his camp, his headquarters there in India, and they went to Prabhupada. They allowed Prabhupada to sit in his room for a little while. And in that room is an empty urn that his ashes were in, and he told the story the ashes were actually put into a particular river somewhere. The ashes weren't in the urn, but the urn was there. in his room, and Gandhi had it put somewhere because he didn't really believe there would be any benefit by placing his ashes in the Ganga or Jamuna or a sacred river. So it's interesting. So, text 33. Kapilopi Mahayogi Bhagavan Pitur Asramat Mataram Samanu Gyapya Prag Udichim Disham Yayau. My dear Vidura, the great sage Kapila, the personality of God, had left his father's hermitage with the permission of his mother and went towards the northeast. Siddha Charana Gandavar Mudivishchap Soro Ganaihi Stuyamana Samudrena Dattarhana Niketanaha. While he was passing in the northern direction, all the celestial denizens known as Charanas and Gandharvas, as well as the Munis and the damsels of the heavenly planets, prayed and offered him all respects. The ocean offered him oblations and a place of residence. Excuse me. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. It is understood that Kapila Muni first went towards the Himalayas and traced the course of the river Ganges. He again came to the delta of the Ganges at the sea, now known as the Bay of Bengal. The ocean gave him residence at a place still known as Gangasagara, where the river Ganges meets the sea. That place is called Gangasagara Tirtha, and even today people gather there to offer respects to Kapila Dev, the original author of the Sankhya system of philosophy. Unfortunately, this Sankhya system has been misrepresented by an impostor, who is also named Kapila, but that other system of philosophy does not tally with anything described in the Sankhya of Kapila in the srimadbhagavatam. Text 35. Aste yogham samastaya Sankhyacharyar upitutaha abhishtutaha trayanam api lokanam upashantyai samahitaha. Even now Kapila Muni is staying there in trance for the deliverance of the conditioned souls in the three worlds, and all the acharyas, or great teachers of the system of Sankhya philosophy, are worshipping him. Text 36. Etan nirgaditam tatta yat prishtoham tavanaga kapilasya cha samvado devahutyascha pavanaha. My dear son, since you have inquired from me, I have answered, O sinless one, the description of Kapila Dev and his mother and their activities are the purest of all pure discourses. Text 37. Ya idam anushnoti yo bidate Kapila munir matam atma yoga guyam bhagavati kitadi suparna kitav upalabate bhagavat Paradavindam. The description of the dealings of Kapila Dev and his mother is very confidential, and anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda, and he thereafter enters into the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Please repeat. The description of the dealings of Kapila Dev and his mother is very confidential. Anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda. And he thereafter enters into the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The narration of Kapila Dev and his mother Devahuti is so perfect and transcendental that even if one only hears or reads this description, he achieves the highest perfectional goal of life, for he engages in the loving service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no doubt that Devahuti, who had the Supreme Lord as her son, and who followed the instructions of Kapila Dev so nicely, attained the highest perfection of human life. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto 33rd chapter of the srimadbhagavatam entitled Activities of Kapila. Magyanti marandasya gyananjana shalakaya Jaksulunminitam dina taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchikapadrupascha Kripashindu Bevacha Patidanam Bhavani Bhyo Vaishnavi Bho Namo Namaha. I request you to please open that door a little bit. Some Monday morning air. Okay. Here we go. So I don't know so much about Ganga Sagara Tirtha. You may know a few things, but I've heard about that festival. Every year they go, and there's a big mela there, and offering respects to Kapila Dev. And then Prabhupada says, unfortunately, another unfortunate thing about the age of Kali, unfortunately the Sankhya Yoga system has been misrepresented by an impostor who is also named Kapila. Couldn't he come up with a different name? Right? And the same name. Right? So that's a symptom of the age of Kali. There are so many imposters misrepresenting the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's actually the order of the day. This is about Kali Yuga. It's the age of quarrel, hypocrisy, cheating. So just like whenever Prabhupada talks about the imperfections we have, our limitations, limited senses and the propensity to cheat, like that, what are those for? You got imperfect senses, illusion, make mistakes, and cheating propensity, right? The propensity to cheat. So this is always brought up, and again, people who don't know anything, they pose themselves as knowing so much. So here's someone who posed himself as Kapila and came up with a philosophy he called the Sankhya philosophy, but Prabhupada says it doesn't tally with anything described in the Bhagavatam. It's not theistic. It's all very materialistic. It's just an analysis of the material world without God, without the conclusion of devotional service, so therefore we don't accept it. He's an imposter. Like that. He's just riding on the coattails of the original Kapila. It's like so many people have their commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said, why don't they come up with their own book? Right? Why don't they come up with their own book? Because in the name of Krishna, they're saying so many things that Krishna never says. Right? Sometimes you meet these people and you say, where does it say that in the Bhagavad Gita? Could you show me a verse? And they can't show you a verse because it doesn't say it. Right? Actually, just the opposite. Just the opposite is said. Right? You meet people like that. Remember in Phoenix earlier this year, I was doing a wedding and I had to stay because they wouldn't drive me back to my hotel or pay for an Uber, so I had to stay. So I was out in the lobby, and every once in a while some Indian gentleman would come out and they'd sit and talk with me, and tell me what they know about Bhagavad Gita. Well, I tell you, they don't know much about Bhagavad Gita because they would quote all these different odd things about the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is karma or yoga or this or that, so many different things that Krishna doesn't say in the Bhagavad Gita. And I'd ask him, I said, that's very interesting. I've never come across that verse. Could you tell me, is that in the 19th chapter, or where is it? I don't know. Krishna seems to say just the opposite. I'd be nice to them, but they're speaking so many things that's not there. So people, just like this, actually, the wedding I just did, the groom, very nice person, gave him a bunch of books, and the bride and his parents and so on, but he said he just read a Bhagavad Gita, and someone asked him, what was the essence, what was the conclusion of the whole Bhagavad Gita? And he said, selfless service to others. Now that's nice, but that is not the conclusion. Krishna did not speak all those 700 verses just so to tell everyone to become a selfless servant of others. So he missed whatever translation you read, like that. Because I don't think you can get that out of Prabhupada's books, right? That story about Ravindranath Swarup in Philadelphia invited that one Indian professor to see Prabhupada, and it turned into a very uncomfortable situation with arguing and all that, and Brahmananda had to like tap him on the shoulder and say, "What's wrong?" And brought him out of the room, and then Ravindranath Swarup was there, and the man was saying, he said, he was a Sanskrit, an Indologist, at the university, Sanskrit. He said, "I just don't agree with your Swami Maharaj, your spiritual master. He's just, his translation of Sanskrit, everything is about Krishna, 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 Krishna." So that's not right, and he was all upset and he left. And then Ravindranath Swarup went in and apologized to Prabhupada and told him what the man said in the hallway. And Prabhupada said, "Yes, that's right. I translate these in such a way where people can't get anything else, screw out any other meaning of Bhagavad Gita." He said, "I did that on purpose." Translated everything. He said, "He's understood my Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and you're his devotee." That's exactly what Krishna is trying to say. That's exactly what Krishna is trying to say. But others, they want to come up with other things because they have some ulterior motive, like that. So, I keep looking at the clock that says 10A. That's not going to help. So, I'll look at the top here. So the last purport, the narration of... Now, it's interesting, this word confidential, just like what chapter in the Bhagavad Gita is the most confidential knowledge? 9th chapter. So what does that actually mean? Sometimes we speak of confidential being like, only you and I know that, right? Very confidential. Don't discuss it with everyone. But there it is, Bhagavad Gita. You're one of the book distributors. How many books, how many copies of Bhagavad Gita have been published in 50 years? Millions and millions and millions, right? In so many different languages. So we're not hiding it from anyone. So how can we say it's confidential in the sense that we're trying to keep it secret, right? Confidential actually means very few people are qualified to understand it. It's there. Krishna is saying, here it is. But one has to be qualified to understand it. That's what it is. Not everyone can understand the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. I guess just like that young man, he said his idea was that it was selfless service to others. So the description of the dealings, this discussion between Lord Kapila Dev and Devahuti is very confidential in the sense it's bringing out the highest level of spirituality, surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is a hierarchy of information in the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna is doing that on purpose because that Bhagavad Gita is there in the Mahabharata, and the Mahabharata is for us folks here in the age of Kali who aren't very, very sharp, not very learned or sharp or pious. What is that? Was it? Stri Sudra Dviju Bandhunam, right? Those who are supposed to be unintelligent, which is everyone in Kali Yuga. So they don't understand things. So Krishna is very simply putting it all out. What is karma? What is jnana, impersonalism, paramatma, all these different things, and gradually bringing it up to the point of pure devotional service. Just kind of guiding everyone through, right? So you don't get lost. It's just guiding everyone through, up, to the point of pure devotional service. Sarvam dharmam parijajya mamekam sharanam braja. You can say that's one of the concluding verses of the Gita. So this is confidential information. Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and not many people can understand it. Not many people are actually interested because of the level of piety and so on. And anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's very potent. That's the benefit of hearing from the Supreme Lord and His bona fide representatives. There's something in that sound vibration. This is in the Bhagavatam. Prabhu says it's the saffron mercy particles coming from the lotus feet of the Lord. You've heard that, read that before in the purport? So there's something there when you hear from the bona fide source that acts upon the heart to awaken one's Krishna consciousness. So that's what it's referring to here. If one hears, of course one has to hear properly. That's the thing. Good starter is being wide awake. But this in the first canto, Prabhupada says you can't hear properly unless your activities are proper. You know, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and so on. So it's not easy to hear properly. So, but one hears properly and repeatedly. It's not just once. Oh, I read the third canto once. How come I'm not a pure devotee yet or something like that? It means repeated. Nityam bhagavata sevya. But keep hearing it, keep hearing it, keep hearing it, trying to understand it gradually. And that activity itself is devotional service, and one's heart becomes purified. And it says, he can achieve the highest perfectional goal of life, for he engages in the loving service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now it says here, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that Devahuti, who had the Supreme Lord as her son and who followed the instructions of Kapila Dev so nicely, attained the highest perfection of human life. So she followed the instructions, Prabhu says, so nicely. So what does that nicely mean? Right? So the process of devotional service, just like the quote is there that the process of devotional service is very easy, but the application is difficult. It's very, very easy. Chant, dance, and be happy. What's so hard about that one? Right? Chant, dance, and be happy. Right? Chanting, dancing, some philosophy, take prasadam. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. So on one hand you can say it's very, very easy, but the application is difficult because of our conditioning. Now in the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami very kindly tells us if we want to apply ourselves to devotional service, in other words, there's all these transcendental instructions, you could say, were given by Lord Kapila Dev. So how to apply them in our lives? How do we apply those? What's the process? So he explains that there are 6 activities. If you do them, bhakti prasiddhyati, you'll attain perfection. You'll come out successful. So how do I apply myself to these instructions? Well, the first one is utsaha. What's utsaha mean? Enthusiasm. Someone's very, very enthusiastic in their devotional service. Like that. Utsaha nishtayad dharyat. Enthusiastic, confident or determined, and very important one, utsaha nishtayad dharyat, is being patient. It's not going to happen yesterday. Right? As I say, people are so impatient. They want everything yesterday, today at the latest, right? So one of the weddings I did 2 weeks ago, I was in Mexico, and very nice young lady who was, not a young lady, but she was one of the event people. She was helping me set up. Very nice. I said, oh, you do this, get that. I figured engage with some service, get the flowers and this and that for a pre-wedding puja. Very, very nice. And she was standing off to the side, and the mother of the bride came. And of course, all the Indians were 45 minutes late. But anyways, the mother of the bride, because she'd been there for a few days, was complaining how it's hard to get anything done in Mexico. These Mexicans, you ask them to do this and that, and like that, and everything is really just so slow. And I turned to her and I said, it's not that they're slow, it's that everyone in America is so jacked up, right? That's the problem. They're actually just fine. We're also just like too fast. And I said, by the way, who are you to complain about being things slow? You're an Indian. You're always late. And she laughed, and the wedding planner started laughing too. It's like, what are they talking about? Right? But, as far as being fast or slow, be patient. It's not going to happen. Things just don't happen right now. Devotional service, just like there's actually one of the verses in this canto we read, it says meditating on, because Lord Kapila Deva was talking about meditating on the super soul in the heart, and he talks about meditating on the Lord's feet, and it said they act just like thunderbolts to break apart the mountain in our heart, the mountain of bad stuff, anartas or whatever, a mountain. Not like a little thing with a dustpan. It's like you sweep the altar, a little dustpan. It's not like that. There's a mountain in our heart, like that, of conditioning, so many lives. How many lives? How many lives do you think you've been in the material world, Janardhan? Well, come on, give me a number. Numerals of a cop-out. Millions? Billions? I mean, right? That's a long time. Just think about how old are you? 23. So just think in your own mind. We'll all look at you when you're thinking about it. But how much conditioning have you acquired in 23 years? Just 23 years that make devotional service a challenge, right? Just 23 years. How about 23 lifetimes or millions of lifetimes? And that just builds up. Purva karma just builds up, builds up, builds up. It's all there. It's all there. That's why Krishna helps us forget our previous lives. We would scream and run out the front door if Krishna revealed to us what we had to deal with. Right? Just say, I give up, and just run out the door. Right? But Krishna just reveals a little bit of time. There's millions of lifetimes. There's a mountain in there. So it's going to take some time, but the process of devotional service is very, very powerful. And it's Kevalananda Kanda. You know that verse in that song? The process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, Kevalananda Kanda. Right there. It's simply joyful, chanting and dancing, right? What is that? How does that song begin? No, that's the second verse. Parama karuna pohandu dvijana nitai gora chandra sabhayavatar sarasiramani kevalayananda kanda. They're the essence of all incarnations, and they give a process which is simply blissful. Chanting and dancing, taking prasadam. Very, very blissful. So, yes, it may take a long time. It takes a long time to get into Maya also. Look, we've spent millions of lifetimes just being in Maya. That's taken a long time. So things take a long time. But if you, in comparison, in one lifetime, devotional service, the holy name is so powerful. In one lifetime, one can purify one's heart completely. That's pretty strong stuff. Think about it. Millions of lifetimes, all that conditioning can be washed away by the process of chanting the holy names. That's why these other processes of karma, being a pious person, or gyan, and even yoga, they're not that powerful. It may take many, 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 many lifetimes. But one can, in one lifetime, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, the mercy of his devotees, attain perfection. So we should be just dumbfounded by how merciful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the process of chanting, like that. And boy, we started on that verse 826. Thank you very much. But what are the other things? Utsanishta dharya tat karma pavartanat. Following properly all the different vidhis and instructions given, following them, right? Take good instruction, follow it. Just, what is that verse we're saying, Prabhupada? Krishna consciousness is easy for the simple and difficult for the crooked. Right? Did I get that right? Yeah. What does that mean? In fact, what is it? I think Harisai, the same lecture he was saying, Prabhupada said the most noticeable qualification of a Vaishnava is that they're simple. They're not duplicitous. They're non-duplicitous. It's just very simple. They just want to engage in devotional service. They don't have any other alternative motives. That's a sign of a very nice devotee. They just want service. They're not after something else from Krishna or Krishna's devotees. So there's just following nicely the process of devotional service. Tat tat karma pavartanat. What else is there? Yeah, Janasanga, right? Giving up the bad association, the Janasanga. Laulam cha, being very, very greedy or enthusiastic, right? Greedy, lauyam, right? Does that mean that? I got the right verse? I'm mixing them up. Yeah, so what's the end of this verse? That's the last line. Yeah, sadhu brate, right. Okay, the sadhus, keeping good association. So it's very, very, the prescription is there, we just have to follow it. The prescription is there. That's how we apply ourselves to the process of devotional service and the highest perfection of human life, which is going back to Godhead. And that's very confidential because most people haven't a clue. They haven't a clue. Right? And even we preach to them. Why is that? Where is that qualification coming from to understand all this? It's actually the blessings of the devotees. Blessings of the devotees in Krishna in the heart. He's very, very kind. Sees a little bit of sincerity, like that, and opens our eyes. Om Agyan Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshul Unminitam Nena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha. The spiritual master is so kind, he's opened our eyes. Somehow or other, something's penetrated the heart, and there's an awakening of intelligence and desire. And we just have to fan that very nicely. So we can end here. Are there any questions and comments on the conclusion of this chapter? Yes. Best of the cloth folders. Well, you're the only one doing it, so you're the best one. Mm-hmm.
And then I was wondering, usually we hear that the jivas in the material realm, on average for, obviously billion lifetimes or whatever, but is there any verse in the Vedas that talks about that?
I'm sure there are many verses, because it's quoted over and over again, that we've been here since time immemorial, and that's what the word nityabada means. There's no right, or anadi. Anadi. Anadi is what's good. There's no beginning in the sense that it's been so long, you can't even remember when it started. So, if you knew, they say, well, you know something? Dharmasetu, I found that I've been in this material world 10 lifetimes less than you. So, Hare Krishna. I'm a better conditioned soul than you are because I've been here less time than you have. You're in more Maya than I have. So if you wanted to know the number to, feel good about yourself, I guess you could. But anadi, there's no tracing it out. And even we did trace it out. Just like somewhere someone asked me about past life regression. It's an Indian woman. She's been doing it or something like that and had people doing it. And Suppose he's a psychologist and is supposed to help people and so on, and regressing in this lifetime. And also they say past lives, but what value is there? There's no real value as far as spirituality, and even it's questionable what they're actually digging up in the subconsciousness. It's questionable what they're digging up. It may or may not be helpful or whatever, dealing with different things and past life regressions, but how many lives can you regress to? 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, how about 10 or 50 or 100 or 1,000,000? There's so many things there. So, better to purify the heart, Chetodarpanamarjanam, of all that stuff, process of devotional service. Not to say we don't deal with the situations we have and so on, but I'm just talking about all those material desires. Right? Do we really want to dig them all out and go through them again? Just like you have a trash can. You throw everything in, then you go, let me dig through this trash can, and you never know, there could be something in there, or just try to understand, just to understand my trash. What did I throw away last week? Why did I throw this away? It's what are you doing that for? It's trash. That's agreed upon. It's trash. Like that. Garbage in, garbage out. Right? This is garbage. Like that. So better the mind goes to something else, if possible. Why? Well, there's no value in analyzing our trash. There are people who get degrees in doing that, you know that? They go to the dump and they analyze, they dig down, the historians and so on, they find the trash. I found a newspaper from 1952, just like the house over here. It's probably in the late 70s. The roof was so bad you could look up and see the sky. It was really bad. That's when that was the first time they put a new roof on it since we got it. I remember they were doing some work, I was doing some work in there and so on, and we pulled out from the wall a newspaper from 1940-something when the house was built. That kind of interesting, like an old newspaper folded up, maybe used for insulation back in those days or something. So it is kind of interesting, an old newspaper from 1940-something, but, what's the value? So all these things are just gone by. It's just gone by. So, but it's a very good point you brought up, how it's a combination of those two things. That sukriti, devotional sukriti, is building up somehow or other, and that plus meeting the devotee, the pure devotee, boom, like that. The process begins. Any other questions or comments?
Just a quick comment.
Please.
Remembering one's previous life, it actually can be very confusing for people when they remember their previous life. I know some devotees, and then they get all mixed up, and they have another set of parties to deal with.
Yeah, yeah.
And oh no, I'm not this now, I'm actually something else. So it is actually really Krishna's mercy that we don't remember, otherwise we would go completely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like they have, I know they say clinically schizophrenia is not a definite term. They don't know exactly what it is, but split personalities. I mean, what is that coming from? Maybe that's bubbling up from previous lives, but when you actually can move to different personalities in the same body, it's very, very difficult for you and for others. And I have a nephew who has it like that. Sometimes they found him just kind of walk around the neighborhood naked, knocking on people's doors. He's a young guy, he's in his 20s. How embarrassing, And then he would come out of it, yikes, and run home, put some clothes on. So you just, it's crazy. You just don't know who you are or what you're doing, and the medication works, it doesn't work. It's just very difficult. So.
Just I have a good question. I'm sure we heard that Prabhu devotees afterwards were very simple. How Prabhu said, I have created you good persons. Sometimes pure devotees can also.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. We're banking on that one, big time. That's what we're banking on, big time. And take the mercy. It's not that it's just at one time. It's just coming, keep taking it. The mercy is, here I give you the process of devotional service. I give you the chanting of the holy names. Take it. Every day, take it. Right? That's what happens. It's not like, oh, yeah, I got Prabhupada's mercy last year or 50 years ago. No, it's going all the time. Keep taking it. It's a flow. It's the flow of devotional service. That's what's being given by the spiritual master. It's not a one-time deal like that. It's continuous. So we just got to keep taking it. Don't stop. So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to srimadbhagavatam. What?
And of course, in the Vedic conception, the universe is created by the Supreme Being, by Krishna. But basically, the description in the Vedas is that the earth is considered to be at the center of a relatively small structure, and the various planets, sun and moon and so forth, are circling around the earth, and out at some distance there's a series. Please don't do anything more with the microphones, because it's going to make that noise again. So either it works or it doesn't, but let's just leave it. So, going out to a certain distance, there's a series of shells. Actually, it's described there are 7 shells covering the universe, according to the Vedic picture. And in the Vedic literature, it's described that there are many universes existing within the causal ocean, and each one is surrounded by a series of shells like this. And these are practically innumerable. There are various descriptions given. For example, they're compared to bubbles of foam within the ocean. You can just imagine how many bubbles of foam there are in the ocean. Or they're compared to the grain, mustard seeds in a barrel of mustard seeds, and so on. Well, in other parts of the world, this same conception existed. So, in the ancient Mediterranean area,